Am I live? Yes. Okay. Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. Wednesday, April 18th, 2018, for the 10th episode of my virtual workshop series on intuitive eating. Today, I am here to talk about other voices of hunger, which is related to Principle 2 of the book Intuitive Eating, which is honor your hunger. And I just wanted to say, before I go any further, that it's so funny how things change. I was thinking about this as I was trying to do something with my hair right before the video, because when I went back, when I think back to my first episode, the first time I ever did one of these, I was looking up how to do Facebook Live, getting step-by-step instructions. I'd never done one before. I would spend the whole morning getting ready, getting dressed, showered, the right outfit, doing my hair, doing the makeup, and then I look at the videos, I don't look that much different. And I was so nervous. And today, this morning, I already, spot cleaned my house and went for a ride on my spin bike, my Peloton, which I just got for my birthday present, which is so exciting. And I had a dog training session, and I've done some work and took care of a whole bunch of stuff. And I just threw my hair up in a bun and straightened my bangs, and here I am. So that kind of made me think about that's the difference between trying new things and them becoming a habit. I've done this for 10 times now. This is the 10th time I'm appearing live here on Facebook. And, when we try something new, when we do something new, it can be really challenging in the beginning and it feels awkward and foreign. And then when you've done it several times, it's like, it's no big thing. I'm not nervous. It just kind of fits into my routine now. And I think that's really cool. So that made me think back to this whole intuitive eating thing, or trying anything new for the first time. You kind of just have to push through that wall and power through the nerves and the doing something differently, like brushing your teeth with your left hand. Feels that awkward. And then by the end, you're like, I can do this. So this whole concept of intuitive eating might be really foreign, and we might have to be hyper conscious about some of these things, some of these thought processes and these mindsets. But once you begin practicing these things, they become part of your thinking, and you don't even realize that you're thinking that way anymore. And that's what I'm trying to do here is, introduce the concepts, talk about how you can integrate them into your life, and then kind of be here as a support for you as you are working to make them part of your being. So that's my thought on that. But before I go any further, here is my usual disclaimer that everything I say here is for educational and informational purposes only and should not take the place of any advice you may receive from your healthcare practitioner. Hey, you're becoming a regular. Thank you for joining me. So today I'm here to talk about other voices of hunger. And the three other voices I'm going to discuss are what Tribole and Bresch name in their book, in the chapter on honoring your hunger. And those three voices of hunger are taste hunger, planning ahead for hunger, and the oh so scary emotional hunger. So first, other voices of hunger. What does that mean? That means that while intuitive eating emphasizes the importance of eating according to biological hunger cues, eating when you feel hunger physically manifests itself in your body. We spent a whole episode talking about that. That trying to stick to that principle as a rule, quote unquote, a rule, can set you up to be following the quote unquote intuitive eating diet. And that's not what this is about. That sometimes paying so much attention to your physical hunger cues might make you start to judge yourself if you eat when you're not physically hungry. And the whole point of intuitive eating is that there aren't any quote unquote rules around food or eating. The whole point of intuitive eating is to get back in touch with your whole body, which we have to remember. We have to take a step back and make an effort to remember that your whole body encompasses your physical body and your brain or your emotional being. So it's your physical body's job to tell you through biological cues, hunger cues being one of them, what your physical body needs. But it's your brain's job to tell you what your human spirit needs emotionally. And there exist these quote unquote other voices of hunger, which are reasons that you might eat besides being physically hungry. The three pretty common reasons you might eat despite the absence of physical hunger cues are for taste, for purposes of planning ahead, and for emotional soothing. And so these are times when we might need to listen to our brain rather than our body. So we spend all this time tuning into when your body, you might have lost your hunger cues, they might have been subdued. We spend all this time tuning into what our body's telling us. Now we want to tune into what our brain might be telling us and realize that that's an important part of being a normal eater. So first, taste hunger. There might be times when, despite the intuitive eating principle of honoring your fullness, or not eating past physical fullness, you might consciously decide to continue eating because the food tastes that good. You might consciously decide that this food experience is worth the short-term mild discomfort that accompanies eating past physical fullness. And doing that is completely normal. If you notice that once you learn about this taste hunger and that you do, absorb what I'm telling you, which is that eating for taste is completely normal. If you happen to notice that you're consistently justifying eating past fullness for that reason, there might be something else going on that we want to explore a little further, just emotionally speaking. So we want to pay attention to that, tap into that. Second, another voice of hunger, there's eating for purposes of planning ahead. These would be circumstances when we choose to listen to our brain to navigate life circumstances when we won't have flexibility around food. And we probably can all come up with a number of times in our life when that might have happened, but we might be going somewhere where we won't have access to food, or we're going to a social event where we'll have access to a huge array of delicious foods. And we want to be able to taste them all and enjoy them. So rather than starve ourselves the whole day in an effort to control our caloric intake, because we know come tonight, at that wedding, we're going to eat a day's worth of calories, then we might make the self-care decision to have several light meals throughout the day. That might be counterintuitive to what you've done in the past. And then have one small meal right before the event so that you don't go to the event completely ravenous and faced with a bottomless pit of hunger where you can't eat enough of all that good stuff to fill you up, and then you're sick. Because we might remember back that when we're that hungry, we can't really taste our food appropriately anyway, and we end up eating to fill the physical and emotional void of having restricted all day. Another instance of letting our brain guide our eating for practical purposes, perhaps we had a very stressful day and our brain is picking up signals that put us into our fight or flight response. Well, this response actually activates your sympathetic nervous system, which pulls blood away from your GI system, which can in turn kill your appetite or even make you feel nauseous. In these instances, when we say, I couldn't eat, I'm so stressed out, we might again make the self-care decision to eat a little something despite the physical absence of hunger. Remember also that exercise can kill your appetite, especially very strenuous cardio. So in this instance, you might choose to eat a little something post-workout despite the lack of physical hunger to avoid what happens when we go too long without eating, which we've already talked about. But I'll return to again and again throughout the rest of this virtual workshop. And finally, is Coco? Coco's growling at me because she wants to come in the room. And finally, there is emotional eating, which is a very loaded term in the intuitive eating community. And that's because, quote unquote, emotional eating has become a sort of tagline for any type of eating in response to feelings that we might be made to feel guilty about. Well, I am here to tell you that eating in response to your feelings is completely normal. It's natural, And sometimes it's the only self-soothing tool that you have access to at the moment. And just a side note, I'm particularly sensitive to this because I think this is the root of most of my disordered eating behaviors. This is especially true for children. Kids can't go down to the local bar and have a drink at the end of a stressful day. They don't have freedom or access or money for a pedicure or a massage. They can't just announce they're taking a mental health day off from school. Nope, they have to have a fever. Children are usually forced to just endure their circumstances, and they often don't have the tools to work through their feelings. They maybe can't even name their feelings yet. So food, quite often, is the only self-soothing tool that they have access to. So please be aware of this, and please be cautious of passing judgment or shaming your child if you discover that they are eating to soothe themselves. It's actually a self-care technique. 99.99999% of adults don't even recognize that they are eating to self-soothe. So how could we expect our children to? But it is time to acknowledge that food is sometimes used to soothe ourselves. And that makes complete sense given how good it tastes and the chemicals these really hyper tasting foods release in our bodies. I mean, carbs release happy hormones. Sugar releases happy hormones. They have documented the same areas of the brain that are stimulated by cocaine are also stimulated by sugar. Just like chocolate makes us happy, makes us feel happy. That's not just in your mouth. That's a chemical response. It's happening in your body. So again, I am here to say that you are allowed to make the choice to eat for emotional reasons. You have permission, no judgment. But intuitive eating says food shouldn't be our only tool. It shouldn't be the only thing we turn to when we're sad or depressed or angry or lonely. I mean, sometimes a big bowl of ice cream or mom's meatloaf is the only thing that has the power to immediately evoke the feelings of comfort that you're searching for. But ice cream and meatloaf can't solve all your problems. So let's be aware when we are always counting on ice cream or meatloaf or pizza to be that stress reliever, to mark the end of the week, to be like, yay, I made it. Let's be aware when we're doing that and think maybe I did too much. Maybe I'm loading up too much during the week. Maybe I'm putting too much stress on myself and I wouldn't need to look forward to the ice cream or the bottle of the wine or the pizza or whatever your thing is. Let's be aware of, I constantly go to that thing to make me feel better, to make me feel those feelings. And that's okay sometimes. That's okay a lot of the times, but if that's the only thing I use, then what are some other things I can use to make myself feel that relief? Or how can I change my life so that I don't need to feel that relief? Someone keeps texting me, just checking. See guys, intuitive eating isn't about perfection. It's not another form of restriction or another set of rules for you to follow. It's about rejecting the diet mentality and diet culture and tuning into your body's own internal wisdom on how best to nourish and take care of yourself. Sometimes that might take the form of eating birthday cake despite filling up on pizza because it's your favorite food and it's delicious. Sometimes it might mean eating before going out for a night on the town so that the wine doesn't get you. You know, instead of the habit of, I'm not going to eat because I'm going to drink my weight in alcoholic calories, never really serves us very well, right? So maybe the best self-care decision is, I might not feel physical hunger because I'm so excited to have a night off for my kids and I'm going to go crush this night. I think maybe I should eat something so that I don't end the night feeling awful. We all know what that's like. So sometimes it might mean making yourself mashed potatoes, fried chicken, peas, and gravy because it helps you remember your favorite grandma. because that's what she always made you when you went to visit her. And when you're sad, missing her, you might want to eat that food that she served you because it helps evoke the feelings that you had when you were around her. And that would be an example of emotional eating. And that's totally normal and totally okay. So all of these behaviors are normal and part of a healthy human lifestyle. So don't beat yourself up for doing these things. Learn to recognize them as normal behaviors and practice non-judgmental self-compassion and just let it go. So that's it for today. I made it under 20 minutes. Next week, I'm going to start principle 3, which is make peace with food. This is a really good one, guys. This is where hopefully by the end of the month of May, you will have learned that the secret to pick a food that you just can't control yourself around. I will teach you the secret to not needing to have to control yourself around that food by the end of the month of May. If you follow along with me, let's just pick a food. Like if you went and got a box of donuts, you just leave them on your counter and they might go stale. You might forget to eat them if that's your thing. Whatever your thing is, insert your thing. But until next week, if you liked this episode, please share it. If you'd like to contact me for a private or group session, feel free to visit my website, www.kpcoachingjupiter.com. You can send me an email. My email address is on the website. You can call me. My cell phone number is on the website. You can text me. You can PM me on Facebook. I'm here. I want to help you. I want you to be happy because the more happiness is in the world, the better vibes we're all going to feel, right? So I'm so glad you were able to tune in today. If you liked it, give me a like or send the link to your friends and family. And thank you so much to my loyal people who tune in every week. It's really cool to see the same names there. I hope you're getting a lot out of this. And thank you for your support and listening. And it means a lot to me. So I hope I see you next week. Until then, I hope you are well. Bye for now.